All right, what's up, everybody? It's Brad, and we're gonna look at ES like we do. All right, it is 2/22/2023, and there was a little bit of news today. We had FOMC minutes that were read, so we had a little bit of news-related shenanigans. We'll go through that. As you see here, I had a lot of downward targets laid out starting the day, and we ended up having this little doji-esque candle here. But let's jump in a little bit to see what happened. First thing I'm going to look at is the 4-hour. So there's been a couple of 4-hour gaps that I've been looking at the last couple days. And these were from the strong run up in January and the reason I was targeting them. So let's get rid of some of this crap that didn't matter. Clean this chart up a bit. We'll redraw that in the morning. We have some stuff up here that ended up not mattering either, but these are the things that sort of did matter, so we'll leave those. Okay, let's talk about the run-up. So the run-up in January created this golden zone on the fib, okay? As you can see, we have come back into that, and that's why we are seeing some strong reaction off some of the targets down here. And we'll go into those targets. This 4-hour gap was the latest, golden zone target that I had set out. We had this daily gap as well. Which once we got through the 4-hour gap, I took my attention to that a little bit today to try to see how we would react in there. We'll go into that a little bit once we get down to the lower time frames, but let's talk about this 4-hour gap. You might say to yourself, why did this one matter? This one I was tracking from the last push of that sorry. Is it this one? No. Where was it? No. I'm pretty sure I was just tracking this, yeah. So I went a little low outside of the golden zone because that was the first significant PD array. I thought it was that. It's definitely that. It was the first significant PD array. So you saw that in the last couple weeks, the push up on that Thursday, February 2nd, and then sell off. And then we had some like golden fib retracements here. Came in, retraced. We went over this a couple weeks ago, but you see how the golden fib aligned pretty well with a lot of this stuff. Right. That one didn't do the best, but this was really good. From that full move down and then come back up. Anyway, yesterday we finally worked through, after coming up, creating that 4-hour gap. We tapped on it, came down, tapped the CE, came out, and finally did dig through that. Came up and touched the top again yesterday, and we finally did work through that 4-hour gap. So once that happened yesterday, I turned my attention to the next golden area from the full run up instead of just the partial run up, and that's what made me look at this 4-hour gap and this daily gap, right? So as I talked about in yesterday's video, we started to trade back into I think I was targeting this for the morning, right? This 3998. So my prediction was that overnight we were going to work our way through this gap and come down and hit the CE before moving up a little bit more. And I wasn't predicting much of a move up, and that's exactly what happened. So I think we are in the midst of a larger downward move. We're really at the beginning. Getting through this 4-hour gap was the first indication. I think we're going to be getting through, and we sort of did today, this 4-hour gap and then this daily gap. And we did have strong reactions. I mean, there's a lot there. So it does make sense that we had strong reactions. We're looking at an hourly chart right now, by the way. We have a couple hourly gaps up top, but I don't think we're going to go to fill them. We might, but this is just my guess for right now. You saw with the push up in the afternoon today, we came up and tapped into this 1-hour gap and rejected pretty harshly off of it, right? Now, we did have a slight push up towards the end of the day. We ended close to this 3998 level, which was a pretty big draw today. You know, tapped, went through, rejected, came back out, went through again thoroughly, closed, and then we're coming back out again, but I don't think this is gonna last. Ended close to that 3998, and I think tomorrow will be the day that we get cleanly. Oh shit! Sorry. We will get cleanly through. Accidentally hit the space bar. Cleanly through this gap and head to lower targets. That's my initial bias right now. Let's talk about some of the moves. Really just two that were things that I saw. The first one being the 930 move, like always. We are anticipating something at the 930 open, some sort of manipulation, and then a tip of the hat, whatever you want to say, a little indication of what the actual move is. And we did get that today, like always, like most days, I'll say, not always. I was looking at this 15-minute gap here. It was a significant point where it rejected throughout the night. So, and actually yesterday before the end of the day, when there was some sort of hope that there could be some recovery, that 15-minute gap held it down. So I was looking for that to be hit back on and closed out basically today. And 9:30, you know, before 9:30, before 8:30, it did go back into it. A little sloppy, but it was pretty respectful of it. And in 9:30, we came up to take highs here, and you'll notice one thing on this wick. I believe it's gonna be a CE tap, right? Not perfect. I think we're like a tick off, but pretty close. So that's one thing to look out for with those wicks. So that was your entry to the 9:30 move there. I think the 15-minute showed it pretty clean. The 5-minute as well was pretty good. Have these relative equal highs here. Whenever you see relative equal highs, you can bet that that's going to be a draw in liquidity, right? Relative equal highs here, took that out. Relative equal highs here, took that out. And that started our move, which was downward. Now, if we want to get into the 1 minute, let's look for an entry on this. I honestly would say that the entry condition is just going into this gap, taking out the equal highs. There are others, right? But let me try to find a gap in here. It had some long wicks, right? So it wasn't the easiest to spot an entry using ICT, right? No gap, no gap, no gap. No gap here, no gap there. So yeah, it's tricky. I have a little volume imbalance, but I don't think that would give you any kind of entry there. It's really just pulling up over these highs. I guess you could say this wick here, tapping back in to the order block. That could be your entry condition as well. But it was a little tough. It was a little tough. If anyone has another entry condition on that morning move, please feel free to share. I actually got in early and ended up being stopped out of it, so I wasn't able to enjoy that nice downtrend here. But yeah, so the price levels were pretty easy to see. One of these gaps that I had down here, this 4-hour gap, there was another 4-hour gap down here that I had laid out. I was expecting that to be tapped into a little bit. So that's the only thing that threw me off a little bit was the draw back up to buy side, especially taking out the high of the day. I guess here, technically high of the day, but we had a pre-market high over here. That did surprise me, so I wasn't able to get in on that. I was already thinking short, but there was a great entry on that. This is on a 5-minute chart. There were some other entries on the 1 minute. You can look at this gap here as well. I mean, just so many places where you could have entered that. We did have a little bit of a balanced price range here. When you get a strong reaction, creating gaps from hitting a very significant price point, like the bottom of a 1-day gap, that's you're looking for proper entries for sure. Like this is a proper entry. But that's a pretty good, you get a pretty good idea from that too. Let me close my email. Sorry about that. So yeah, we had a nice run up, and we actually tapped into this 1-hour gap. Didn't really know what to expect from the minutes being red, but you definitely should, if there's a big event like that, you should definitely sit out and just look for some signs of what's to come. So we'll go through on the 1-minute chart that news event, which was the FOMC Minutes once again. So you see here at 2, what did it do? It went for highs, relative equals, I guess, sort of, kind of. Tapped right on the 1 hour, bottom of the 1 hour gap. Came down, took sell side, tapped right into that daily gap. Under this, right? No, that created a relative equal or an equal low. Came back up, dug into the gap a little bit, and we created a pretty nice entry condition here. I mean, that's a huge gap, right? We're talking about the 1-minute chart here, guys. That's a big gap. And when it comes back up into it, that is a pretty good entry condition given that we are 22 minutes past the news hitting. That's a pretty good one. We also have a little bit of like a BPR. Oh, sorry. This wick screws that up. My bad on that. That is not a good BPR entry. That wick, by the way. Interesting. Yeah, so that short was good. It was coming off news. The price moved very fast. And given how we've reacted to this daily gap throughout the day, CE comes out, bottom comes out. The next move, you should be able to say that it's going to go down through the gap this next time, right? Of course, it had some speed bumps along the way, getting into the gap, speed bump, CE, speed bump. These are entries, right? These are potential entry points. When it comes up like this, we have a little bit of an order block here that it tapped into. Then it pushes through, right? So price target really should be probably the low of the gap, 399.050 on that one. Like I said, I had a further down price target in a 4-hour gap that we never got to, but I was able to take advantage of that downward move. So that was my big win of the day, is taking advantage of this downward move. I hope you guys caught it. When it sort of ran out of time over here to head on to some more targets. And yeah, like I said, I wasn't really expecting the 1-day gap to be as significant as it's been. It's been creating some pretty good pullbacks, and we see it right now, right? After hours from coming through the gap, we actually have come out again and headed back up into that 4-hour gap. This could be a sign of some some desire to close some of the distance here. Like I said, I still don't believe it. I think the downward move is I think it's gonna remain strong. So we'll see. Yeah, my trading didn't go as well as I had hoped today, but I had a lot of stuff going on, so it's all good. Seeing the movement was good enough for the experience. Remember, like, if you're a new ICT student, as I am, watching this movement and getting the experience is very valuable. So don't feel like just because you didn't take advantage with some trades that you are not growing, right? I know ICT talks about this a lot, and he doesn't recommend people even trade at all for their first. Honestly, I think he would probably want you to just sit out for your first year and watch his videos and just read the tape, not even do demo account trades, right? Obviously, that's not very realistic. You guys are going to try to trade it as I do. Assume your own risk, obviously. Do what you feel is right for you, but remember the important thing, and that's learning. All right. So reading this, going back through back testing, and even demo account trading off of this can be very valuable. Even if you lose all the trades, you're getting experience of how the price moves, and that's what you need. That's the important thing, to understand the movement of price, understand the significance of the time of the day, because that's a big thing too. Be able to find your targets, be able to set your stop losses properly. These are things you're going to learn with time. So hopefully we can learn together. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Until tomorrow, talk to you later.